Hi, my name is Phil Edholm. I'm a UCStrategies UC expert. I'm also one of the developers of the UCStrategies Unified Communication Benefit and ROI Analysis tool. I'd like to welcome you to this first video in the video series of training and information about how to use the tool to effectively change and manage your business. The UCStrategies UC Benefit and ROI Analysis tool can be a critical component of changing your business. You can use it to qualify your customers and decide whether UC can be effective in their business. You can also use it to help your customers justify a UC purchase. In this first video, you'll learn about a couple of key capabilities of the tool and how to use it. You'll learn how to open the tool, how to save for a specific customer, how to enter data. You'll learn about the 15 simple questions you need for a basic analysis, how to ask those questions and how to enter them into the tool, or how to use the one-page document that you can use without a computer to get the questions answered with your customer. Finally, we'll review the report the tool generates and talk about how it can be used with your customer, both to qualify them, but also to validate an expenditure. So with that, I hope you enjoy the tool, enjoy this training, and I hope it has a significant impact on your business. Thanks again. When you first open the tool, you'll be on the Start page. This is where you'll come in. First, let's talk a little bit about navigating the tool. If you notice across the top of the page, there are some buttons to click that hyperlink to the other tabs in each of the tabs. So for example, right now we're on the Start page, it's white. If we wanted to look at the PDF report, where we'll go later, we click there and we jump to the PDF report. Now we can just as easily jump back to the Start page. So this is an easy way to navigate between the different elements of the tool. It's very important to save the tool for each customer. When you get the tool, it'll be titled to you with your name on it. When you do an analysis, go ahead and save the tool right away to make sure that you save each individual analysis. So for example, we click up here on Save As, and we'll save this tool as the customer name. Now this customer turns out to be BigCo, so we're going to type in BigCo, and we're going to put the date in. It's 09/03/13. So we've now actually saved this file and saved it for that specific customer. Now we can go on to entering data. Now let's talk about how to enter data into the tool. You'll notice that there are two kinds of fields with square boxes around them on the tool. One's with a light red or pink background and a darker border, and gray cells with light borders. You can only enter into the light cells. So for example, if I click on customer name, you'll notice that I immediately get a pop-up that says enter the name of the analysis customer here. So we can enter BigCo, who's our customer we're analyzing. By entering BigCo into this cell, I now have populated it throughout the tool and into the report. This is the name that will be used. Now you'll notice if we go down below here to replacement, which is whether it's an augmentation or replacement of the existing PBX, that the pop-up actually appears right here and actually covers the entry cells immediately below. There are two ways you can accommodate changing this. The first is by clicking on the delete pop-up, which actually removes the pop-up. The second thing you can do is you can move this actual pop-up to the side, and it will actually stay there until you save the tool, close it, and reopen it. Finally, one thing that's important is to be able to change the size of the screen. This allows you to see more or less of the screen depending upon your monitor. So by, for example, zooming in to 75%, we'll actually see more of the tool and more of the questions. Or we can click back to 100%. Very simple tools to change what we do. So with that, let's now start entering some data. To do a simple analysis, you only need to enter 15 specific answers to questions as shown here on the Start page, along with the month that the install will be completed. These are actually down here lower on the page, as you can see. Now, these questions are also on a one-page questionnaire that's a PDF that you received with the tool. You can use the one-pager to talk to your customer, fill in their answers without having to have a PC or Mac, making for a slightly more informal situation. But we're going to review the questions here directly into the tool to see how they're entered. So the first question is the solution replacing an existing PBX or augmenting it with UC only? So replacement here means that you are in fact replacing the PBX. Augmentation means that you're adding UC on only for the UC users and leaving the PBX in place. You'll note when you click on this, you actually get a choice between augmentation and replacement. Your only two choices there. The next question is how the system will be deployed. So the tool accommodates three kinds of deployment. A pure premise deployment with all the equipment on the customer's premise, a cloud deployment with all the users supported from the cloud with minimal premise equipment, or a hybrid where some of the users are in the cloud and some of them are in premise. So based on the solution you have proposed, you can choose, or in fact, you can look at different options with the customer to see how it works out for that customer and their solution. So, here we can choose, for example, premise, or we can choose back to our cloud solution. The next question is, what are the total number of users the proposed UC system will support in both 2013 and 2018? The tool runs from 6 years, from 2013 installation through 2018. You enter the number of users here for 2013 and here for 2018. Now, if you entered a hybrid deployment up above, you actually need to enter the number of users that are supported in the premise side of a hybrid solution. This actually does not apply, this entry, if you chose cloud or if you chose premise. It only applies for hybrid. So in this case, we have 500 users total. If we choose up here a hybrid deployment, then this 400 down here actually is the number of users on the premise, with the remaining 100 in 2013 supported in the cloud. We've shown no growth in the premise deployment from 2013 to 18, so we actually have 50 additional cloud users. On the next page, the data entry tab, you'll actually see much more data that you can enter to really correlate the tool actually to your user's environment. But for a basic analysis, this is sufficient. The next two entries are all about entering the percentage of users that use UC. Because this is an augmentation, these need to be set to 100%. If you don't set them to 100% in augmentation, they will actually be changed on the next tab on the data entry to 100%. But if they are, for example, if you have a premise solution, a replacement solution, you can actually set these to less than 100%. So for example, you might set this to 50%, and then say 80% in 2018. Now you will notice that if we change this from replacement back to augmentation, that we actually get an error message saying that these need to be set to 100%. These kind of error messages are built into the tool to help you properly facilitate your use of the tool. The next two tabs are actually designed to enter the number of users requiring advanced collaboration capabilities and advanced mobility capabilities. To find more information about advanced collaboration capabilities, advanced mobility, and basic UC, if you move down the page slightly, you'll actually notice there's a tab down here. We'll move this out of the way again, called Data Entry Help. This actually takes you to a page that describes basic telephony, unified communication, advanced collaboration, a general description of each of the capabilities and specific functionality. What's important is that each one of these typically comes with different license fees from the specific vendors. So choosing them correctly is going to impact not only the benefits, but also the cost. So again, we click up here and we return to the Start tab. So now we'll go back up and we'll talk more about advanced collaboration and mobile capabilities. Now, very important that these need to be less than the total UC. In other words, a user who has advanced collaboration must have UC. So if we try to make this, for example, 60%, we will again get an error message. So important to make this 50% so we don't get an error message. And you notice the error message goes away. So advanced collaboration is conferencing, is advanced capabilities in video, And advanced mobility includes mobility clients and BYOD. The next area is about contact centers. So within the total number of users, there may be a number of contact center agents who are getting UC, either as part of a replacement or as part of an overall solution. The tool does not calculate the cost of the contact center and the contact center services and software, but rather focuses only on UC and gives contact center agents the basic UC capabilities. The next entry is actually for what percentage of receipts will require a network upgrade. Often a network upgrade is necessary to deploy voice over IP. Often this is true especially in complete PBX replacements. Generally we've seen about a 15% requirement on average, but this is actually a data field that can be either 0 if the network is in great shape or 100% if it needs complete replacement. The cost of this will actually be added in based on data that's been entered in the data entry tool later for a cost per seat. The tool actually calculates both hard and soft benefits, and you can choose to include either hard or hard and soft or only soft benefits. Hard benefits are benefits that actually have direct dollar savings, elimination of long distance minutes, eliminations of cell minutes, SIP trunking cost reductions, conferencing cost reductions, reduction in the cost of business continuity. Soft benefits typically are those benefits that are actually achieved through productivity gains. Very important to listen to the Selling UC Benefits video. Talks about how you can actually sell soft benefits in a time of a growing economy and growing organizations. The next field actually focuses on the number of meetings. Some of the significant benefits of UC that are soft productivity benefits relate to how well meetings are accomplished. For example, using UC, does a meeting start slightly earlier, saving people time? Is there productivity gains in terms of the meeting being more effective and ending sooner? In order to analyze that data, you need to understand for the UC users, how many meetings do they on average go to per week? You notice we've set this at 3 as the basic number, but you can choose this with the customer. The next field is around trips to a different location that UC employees make for internal meetings. The tool actually calculates cost saving for travel elimination through the effectiveness of UC using relatively small percentages, 10% of the meeting traveling trips being eliminated. This is actually used to calculate that data in the tool. One of the keys for mobility use is the cellular minutes that are paid for by the company and the reduction in those that can be achieved by using the UC capabilities in mobile devices and BYOD. This is a place to enter the number of cellular minutes that are paid for on average by the company for those employees that will receive UC. The next two pieces of data are actually focused very much at the financial analysis, what we refer to in the tool as the P&L analysis that includes depreciation and what's called internal rate of return, or the charge that's put on investments or cash that's parked. So the depreciation period is how many years the company will depreciate the product purchase over, and the IRR is what percentage of return they expect to get on investments or cash they've invested in capital. And the very last entry is the projected first month after installation. All of the installation costs and the benefits are prorated to this date. So this actually has significant impact on the tool when it's actually entered. So now you have all the data that's necessary to be entered. A very simple conversation with your customer. You saw we actually went through it in just a few minutes. So now let's talk about the report that the tool will generate. After entering our data, the next thing we want to do is actually generate a report. The way you do that is you go back up to the top to the navigation tabs and click on the tab that says PDF report. That takes you to the PDF report generator. You'll notice in the PDF report generator there's some data up here at the top, and then there's the rest of the report. The report's down here at the bottom. The way you generate a report is you click on the office icon at the top, or Save As if you're in a Macintosh, and then down on Save As a PDF. Now, one thing that's important is you actually want to save this as different versions. You notice we saved a version earlier called BigCo version 1-02. So let's make this one, by clicking there, version 1-03. And that way each version is separate and you don't overwrite a previously published report. Typically, again, as we save this for each customer, we now are generating different reports for that one customer. We then click Publish. Now, this will take a couple of seconds to actually publish the report, and you'll see it publishing. So here it is. We're now publishing the report. When the report gets done publishing, typically in most machines, it will then show up using your Adobe Reader. And here, in fact, is the report in the Adobe Reader. So you can actually see the report. This is page 1 of the report. So let's talk a bit about what the pieces are in the report and each of the pages and go through them separately. The report actually has 6 pages. So let's talk about the pages individually. On the left is page 1. Page 1 is the system and user configuration that you entered in the report. Total number of users, premise users, the calculated cloud users. It also shows you what percentage of users of each type are actually entered in the report. UC, telephony, advanced collaboration, advanced mobility. This is a good page to use to review the data entry with your customer. Page 2, shown on the right, is the benefits analysis. The UC benefit tool actually has 7 different benefits it analyzes. SIP trunking, business continuity, collaboration, mobility, CEBP, or communications enabled business processes, and general business impact and contact centers. You'll notice that CEBP, general business, and contact center are 0. Contact center is 0 because we didn't put any contact center agents into the tool. CEBP and general business are 0 because these actually require very careful analysis with your customer. For example, in CEBP, a process is actually improved by using communications. So what you do is a process that might take, for example, 3 days to complete, now can complete in 1 day because the right people get involved at the right time. That then has a calculated business impact, which is the CEBP impact. CEBP and general business impact of UC can often be larger than the other impacts, but they need to be treated on an individual basis. The 4 other benefits are shown on the charts at the right, and you can see that in the configuration we've selected, collaboration is the largest benefit by far, though mobility has a significant additional impact. These are actually shown annually on the top chart and accumulative on the lower chart. So you can actually see that in the life of this solution, we have over $2.5 million of positive benefit of UC. Page 3 is the UC system cost. This actually reflects either one of 2 things. Either the costs that are a budgetary estimate generated by the tool based on data entered either by the UC experts or by your product managers, or alternatively, if you enter direct data into the tool for a specific RFP response or proposal, they'll be shown here. In this simple analysis, these are estimates of general UC costs based on general UC data. So what you see here is both the installation costs and annual operating costs for the premise deployment, as well as annual costs for cloud and total solution deployment by year. On the right, you will see a couple of charts that show premise and cloud annual and cumulative costs, as well as the annual per user costs, which actually shows in this case that the cost for the cloud users starts lower but goes higher over time. The reason for that is very simple. In this case, in 2013, because we're starting later in the year, there's very little cost at the beginning of the year. Of course, the premise user cost is very high at the beginning because of the initial installation. Page 4 of the analysis actually has the beginning of financial analysis. First is ROI analysis. The ROI analysis is based very much on a specific ROI capability called cash. It's a cash-based analysis. So in other words, if you look at the bottom left of this chart of this page, you see the graph of the ROI report in annual total cost of ownership. You'll notice that in the first year there are very heavy costs because of the actual cost of the equipment and installation in the first year. The costs in the subsequent years are actually fairly high because of the cloud costs, and that's where the cloud costs get brought in. If this was a total premise solution, there would be even more costs in the first year than shown on this analysis. What you see on the upper right is the total cumulative cost of ownership. So actually what you see is that by 2018, which is the far right on the upper right chart on page 4, the total costs are up to about 1.4 million. But the total benefits are, as we discussed previously, over 2.5 million. So the actual return on investment is a positive about 1.25 million. So you actually see that this is a pretty substantially positive return. You also notice that on the page it calculates the return on investment over the 6-year period at 9.66%, a very good return, and a payback period break even for this investment of 15.9 months. Depending upon the configuration, if this was an augmentation, that typically would be less than 12 months. Remember that this installation, 50% of the users initially are telephony users, so there are no UC benefits associated with those users. The other analysis that is shown on page 4, and we'll continue on to page 5, is what's called a P&L analysis. In this case, there's actually a depreciation or amortization. That's actually entered there as 7 years, and an internal rate of return, which is the charge that's charged on that investment while it's being held as an asset. So we'll look at that on the next page in more detail. Page 5 on the left actually continues the P&L analysis. At the top you see a P&L impact analysis. So P&L impact analysis shows what's the positive or negative profit and loss impact. In other words, on your actual company reporting. So you can actually see that each year after the first year, there's actually a positive P&L impact. In fact, it's $221,000 positive in 2014. That's really shown as income to the business model, which is the benefits, less the cost of the business model, which are actually costs. So the benefits in this case is $446,000. The costs are $225,000 with a resulting net profit of $221 million. And you actually see that this is graphed on the lower left. And you actually can see the significant increase that we have in profitability through the years. Finally, there's a comparison of a new UC system and an existing telephony system. Now, if you've chosen to do PBX augmentation, this will not appear in the report. It will be blank, and page 6 will actually be shown as intentionally left blank. The tool actually calculates estimated cost of an existing telephony system based on administration costs, support costs, and service costs to actually determine what that is. Then if you look on the right on page 6, we actually contrast the new UC system with its benefits against the cost of the existing telephony system. So each one of these little graphs shows a number of points. It shows the actual current system cost in blue, the UC cost in red, and the benefits in green. But the really important thing to look at is the purple dot. The purple dot is the net transition value from the existing system to the new UC system. So for example, in this analysis, if you look at the cumulative total cost with depreciation on the upper right, you actually see that that 2.15 million is how much additional profit the company would show with the installation of a UC system. Again, you see here payback in both cash flow and in P&L. You can see here that the P&L payback is 5.4 months and the cash flow payback is 15.9 months. Obviously, the cash flow payback puts all the costs in the first period, so there's a lot heavier payback in the cost initially, where depreciation has all of the capital costs spread out over the entire purchase. So that's the report. Allows your customer to see a complete analysis of their UC investment and its impact on their business. So with that, we're completing this video. I hope this video helped you in preparing an analysis for your customer to prove that UC can have significant business benefits and business impact. Generally, we're seeing paybacks under a year for a UC deployment. Understanding how it impacts your business, how it can change the way you do things. Now, obviously, it's up to you to sell these capabilities, to plan a successful implementation, and to educate your customer on how to adopt them. But hopefully this tool will help you close new deals and new opportunities. You can see the other videos in this series with more details on how to customize the tool to your customer, whether it's customizing the data entry, or the benefits, or the financial analysis. Hopefully the tool will generate great returns for you. Good luck.